Hello and welcome to the first episode of Wi-Fi Friends of 2019. I'm Cameron. I'm joined by Jon. Hello, Jon.
2019, boy.
Yeah, it's 2019. It's the year of the pig, question mark, I think. It's actually, right now, it is New Year's Day. So it is genuinely the very first day of 2019.
2019.
I'm excited for this year, Jon. I don't know how you feel about it, but I had a very chaotic 2018. I wouldn't say it was good, but I wouldn't say it was bad. It was like very good and very bad and very good, very bad, up, down, up, down, up, down. So I think what I'm hoping for 2019 is, like, I don't think it's going to hit the highs of 2018 because obviously I got married in
Yeah.
2018. So I think, but I also don't hope. I hope it stays above the lows of 2018 as well, because they were pretty big lows. I'm hoping for a chill year, like a rest year, Like, I'm hoping for, like how the Olympics, there's like a Summer Olympics, and then 2 years later there's the Winter Olympics, and then 2 years later there's the Summer Olympics. I'm hoping that 2019 is like that year in between, where there's no Olympics and everyone just kind of
Oh
hangs
yeah,
out.
it's just chill. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just everyone's just kind of chill and nothing crazy good happens, but also nothing crazy bad happens. I just want to kind of coast, enjoy myself, and get myself ready for 2020, which feels like a grander year, like
Yeah,
20.
2020 feels like it's gonna 2020 weirdly 2019 is what I like to call a not a build-up year, but like kind of like a holding pattern
Yeah, it feels like. I
where any big plans I have are really for 2020.
mean, yeah.
So 2019 is really the year where it's like if we could just stay on course, we'll all be fine.
We've just got to get to Wonder Woman 2. That's where we're just trying
Yeah,
to get to Wonder Woman 2, which comes out in 2020. Like, everything else is irrelevant.
yeah.
No,
Well, we do have to get through the emotional turmoil of Avengers Endgame,
oh
so
my god, I forgot.
that
I
is this year.
forgot. That's the
Yeah,
the rock cast in my plan to have a
yeah,
normal chill 2020. So right, I think we should start with personal stuff, as we do every single time. So Jon, how was your year? Because we can talk about Christmas, but I feel like Christmas is going to be, it's just like, it is very bog standard. I mean, you have a family, you have a kid, and I just enjoy Christmas with my family. Nothing super exciting happened unless you have a story.
no, Christmas was very boring as an
Mm.
adult. I got some D&D dice.
Nice, nice.
It's very colorful and nice. I like rolling it.
And that is our Christmas talk. But what
Yeah.
was 2018 for you? Like, what was it like? Like a year in review for your personal life. Do you, if you wish to share that?
Oh no, 2018 was a really weird year
Mm,
because I left Disney
you
at the
did.
start of the year, which is really weird because that had been like the last over 2 years of my life.
Oh man.
And like, so leaving that whole ecosystem and all of that and coming back to Alabama was super weird.
Mm,
Getting used to being back in Alabama, which was always very fun and exciting. But then, like, this year was also the year that I front loaded the first half of this year with just trips
yeah.
and stuff because I went to Wales,
You
and
did.
that was honestly the first half of 2018 was like I think back to it and I'm like, how did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
How did I go to three separate weddings and go to visit Wales and go to these castles? And I look back at the pictures and I'm like, how is this stuff real?
I
Like
totally get you.
how did I drink with like JT and everybody and like dance and like it was so crazy.
I feel that that happened last year for me as well, where the first half of the year kind of feels like a separate year. Like, it was so intense, and it was the build up to my marriage, and then it was after my marriage, it was my honeymoon, and it was my trip to Disney, And then the second half of the year has just been completely different and completely different tone-wise. So it's strange that we both had that similar experience of the first half of the year being front-loaded with all the crazy, like, I don't know about you, but the front half of the year being up, like, the more exciting and crazy and more, like, joyful time. But maybe that's just because it was so far away, you know, compared to the second half of the year being fresh in our memory.
Yeah, and like, well, also, I mean, for me personally, like my second half of the year was mainly just like work,
Mm.
was just like constantly just with work. Because second half of the year was really when we got into like the football season, and so I started to get busy at the hotel and stuff, where I work now,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was really just me starting to work a lot of overtime, and so it's so weird comparing the two because one was like this is all your fun you get to have for the year, and then now you don't get to have any more fun.
You pay for it.
Yeah,
Now you pay for it. Yeah, I mean that's it's good in a way though because it's like it's like an exchange, you know. It's Full Metal Alchemist, bringing it back to
yeah,
our nerdiness, you know. Like you used up the joy. You went to the 3 different trips. It was insane and it was crazy, and then you have to pay for it with the crazy amount of work that you do the second half of the year. But it's still good that you got to experience those things, and I feel the same way. Like the second half of the year for me kind of felt like it was never going to reach, you know, the highs of my wedding and my honeymoon and going to Florida. So it was like just, well, now I just got to make money. You know, now we moved into
yeah,
a flat, so you know, there's that aspect of it where I'm paying bills, well, more bills than I was previously paying. So I have to make money, I have to provide, and it's just like it felt like I was not being punished. That's not the right word, but it was just I was
yeah,
just paying off the debt that paying off the fun loan that I took out at the
yeah,
beginning of the year, you know? So that's why I think that it was such a weird year because it was such an intense start. Like March was when I got married, so it was like really early on, and it was just
yeah.
it was crazy, and it was the first time I got to see you and Christina in person, and we were bouncing around. I mean, you saw me at that point. I was just like I had a giant smile on my face the whole time, and I would like couldn't sit still.
You injured yourself.
I did enjoy myself. I was actually limping all around Cologne on my honeymoon.
Oh,
But it didn't affect my enjoyment. So yeah,
yeah,
2018 personally, just as my personal life goes, I think was a good year, but it was also tough to finish. It was like when you go for a run and the first half of the run is like really good and you feel like, oh yes, I'm exercising, I'm getting those endorphins, and then you get to the destination, you got to run home, and the run home is like, oh, I just want to be home now. I just
yeah.
it was kind of like that. So I think that I'm hoping for, like I said, a chill year. But in terms of pop culture, in terms of movies, video games, comic books, just generally entertainment and stuff that we consume. 2018 was an interesting one. What were some of your like highlights from 2018 in terms of like pop culture?
Yeah, 2018 is weird because it's one of those things where I think and I'm like, wow, because Black Panther was like the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I think we're starting to, I mean, I think we've already reached that point, but it's one of those things where we're all starting to realize like, oh God, there is so much
Mm.
that I almost can't even keep it straight. Because there's Black Panther, there's Avengers, there was Justice League, there was technically, oh my God, Aquaman and
Yep.
Spider-Verse,
Spider-Verse.
which I still haven't seen yet.
Ah,
And then we're supposed to be I think these next like tomorrow or something we're gonna be seeing some movies.
I see.
So hopefully
Dope.
that'll be all good. But yeah, like obviously Avengers Infinity War can't be stressed enough
Oh my goodness.
how important I guess that movie is for I don't know, like changing not changing like the landscape because I don't want to get all flowery and whatever, but like it just showed what can be accomplished with movies.
Yeah, I think it was interesting for me, in terms just if we stick to superhero movies just for now, because you got onto that point, and I thought that's an interesting point to kind of start with. Um, we started the year, like you said, with Black Panther, which was like critically acclaimed. one of the highest grossing superhero movies of all time. It broke a lot of records. It was obviously a big significant movie, not just to comic book fans, but also to a huge group of people that felt, underrepresented in movies and superhero movies specifically. So that was like a huge deal, and I felt the cultural impact of that. I think everyone did. But in terms of the movie itself, it was a weird situation for me because I really liked the movie and I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
But I came out and then I was like, the opinion of everyone, people were acting like it was like the second coming, it was like amazing. And I felt like I'd missed out. I'd missed something, I was like, it just felt like a really good Marvel movie to me. It didn't feel like, the next amazing thing, Like I had a similar experience with Logan. When Logan came out, everyone was like losing their mind over Logan. And I was like, yeah, I enjoyed it, but I didn't lose my mind over it. But that's just how movies work. They're subjective. Different things resonate with different people. But what I felt then is I was like kind of bummed because I was like, maybe Marvel just doesn't do it for me anymore. We talked about this a lot over the last couple of years about the idea of Marvel becoming this kind of formulaic thing, and you see enough Marvel movies, you stop enjoying them as much because you kind of like know the deal. You always know how it goes. And I thought Black Panther, when I had that reaction, I was like, is this it? Is this my relationship with Marvel now, where I'm going to enjoy the movies and then forget about them? And then Avengers Endgame came out. Avengers Infinity War came out. And I think Infinity War came out at a critical point where it was like, if you enjoyed Black Panther, look at this. There's more Black Panther. There's more stuff like that. If you didn't enjoy Black Panther as much as everyone else, like I didn't, don't worry, because Marvel's still got some tricks up their sleeve. Like, it was insane. Yeah. It was, like, pleasing to everyone. And I think that it really helped me realize, especially because Ant-Man and the Wasp was not my favorite Marvel movie, and that came afterwards. I still could go like, yeah, well, Infinity War still has still won me over. So even if
I literally didn't see Ant-Man and the Wasp until last month, and I almost fell asleep during it.
It was okay. It was just
an Ant-Man movie, and that's all I can really say. They have a thing, and I'm like, oh, I laughed here and there. Yeah. I could not tell you the plot. We were literally watching the beginning of that movie. Me and my wife, and we're just like, what happened to the first one? I'm like, oh, that's her thing, and I'm like, oh, this is a flashback, never mind. Okay.
What's funny is I watched Ant-Man 1 just before Avengers Infinity War came out because I was catching up on all the movies. And that was relatively soon to when Ant-Man and the Wasp came out. It was like 2 months before. So say I watched Ant-Man like 2 months, 3 months before Ant-Man and the Wasp, I still had that experience. So I was like, what happened in the first one again? Even though I'd watched both films.
I love like Michael Pena's character.
Yes, 100%.
And Michael Douglas, I think, does great. I think everyone in that movie does good with what they were given.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just the problem of like Infinity War fatigue of like after the ending of Infinity War, it's such a downer. Any Marvel related property, it's just like, oh man, I'm just too heartbroken right now to care about. It's also like when something goes on like a great cliffhanger, and then it's like, hey, we're gonna do a side story, and I'm like, yeah, but we really want to follow up on that cliffhanger.
Yeah, I think release date was a big deal for it, absolutely. But also, in a world where it came out between Black Panther and Infinity War, I think it would have helped a little bit because it would have been like amazing movie with no like connection to Ant-Man really. Then you get the Ant-Man movie, and then you get Infinity War, and then there's silence until Captain Marvel.
Marvel, yeah.
That could have helped a little bit, but I still think that the movie, as good as it was, I'm not saying it was a bad film because I did enjoy it. Like anything above a 5 for me is a good film because 5 is like average, But it still was like, it was almost like those fears of Marvel fatigue realized into a film just after they'd proved that Marvel fatigue didn't exist. It was like with Infinity War, they were like, no, we still can do original stories. We're not stuck to the same formula. But then let's put out a movie immediately after that is the same formula. So it's like,
it's almost
strange.
I think part of the problem is that they know how to do good teen movies.
Yes.
However, some of those characters, and like, I think it's kind of I do not need an individual series for every single Avenger.
No,
It
Hawkeye
was
doesn't
kind
need a
of
movie.
fun to like when you read team books, sometimes you would only see like Firestorm would he'd be like only
Mm,
in Justice League.
yeah.
Or Red Tornado. Red Tornado is a way better example.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
was a guy that you
definitely.
usually only saw show up in the team books. And so he was also an added reason for why you picked up that book. Because like, oh, I love Red Tornado if you're a big Red Tornado fan, which there are, I'm
They
sure.
definitely are.
But it was, an added reason of like, oh, I get to see this guy that I don't usually get to see because this is kind of where he fits best in the overall marketing and universal strategy.
Yeah, 100%. And I
But
think you can
I
say
think
that.
they don't think about that with movies because they're just like, oh, let's just. And I'm like, some people just don't need a. Doctor Strange doesn't need a movie.
Yeah,
I think he works best like in Infinity War, where he's like super cool and dope, and he only shows up for like the big catastrophic events.
mm, I
Not really just like him in bullshit magic school.
I think it's interesting because, like, to a certain extent, I'd like to believe that you can make a good film about anything. So you could take like I don't know, like let me think of the weirdest example. You could take what's her name? Technically, her name is Agent Carter, but it's not because it's not
Oh,
Agent
Sharon.
Carter.
Shannon?
Sharon, yeah, yeah,
Sharon?
yeah. Sharon,
Yeah.
you could take her and make a whole movie about her, and if you get the right people on, you get the right script, the right director, the right team, you could make an entertaining movie. But the question is like, you know, why? like why not just put those resources into someone who deserves a movie? And that's an argument you could be made. There's a lot of people that were, clambering for a Doctor Strange movie. Personally, I don't really care about the character that much. I enjoyed him in Infinity War. But I still, he's not like one of my big guys. But Ant-Man's one of those guys where like you think like, oh, that's an interesting idea for a movie because his powers are so unique. And then you do it once and you go, okay, we got it. like,
Yeah.
like, cut the check, that's done. Like, they used to do that a lot in movies. They used to do a movie with the intention of only making this one movie and then being done with it. And like, I don't know if that was the case for the Incredible Hulk, but I like that about the Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk feels to me like it's like, look, we did a Hulk movie. It's done. We don't need to do another Hulk movie.
Yeah.
We did it. He can
Oh,
be a
Hulk.
team
Why didn't I
player
think
now.
of Hulk? Hulk's the perfect example. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need another Hulk movie.
Like, yeah, that was, but like, I feel like Ant-Man could have been that if it wasn't for the
Yeah.
Wasp. And I'm glad that the Wasp did get a time because the Wasp is an important character, and I think that
Well, and I honestly think, like, going back and rewatching that first movie, her story and her, like, dealing with her dad, way more interesting than whatever Scott Lang's doing.
yeah,
Way
and I
more
think,
emotionally resonant than just like, hey, I'm like a goofy guy who, like, stole your stuff. Haha.
but I think her story in the first movie, and this isn't just because like I'm not saying like she shouldn't be the Wasp. Like she could have been the Wasp in Avengers Endgame, she could have just turned
Yeah.
up as the Wasp. But like her story in the first Ant-Man movie, where she's struggling with her father, was way more interesting than her story in the second movie, where she's
Yeah.
like, realized, and it's like it just feels like, oh, now we gotta go get her mum now. But like it was more interesting to me when it was more of like an emotional thing, and it was more of a like an argumentative thing. But yeah, so 2018 for superhero movies was interesting because then you get to the later half of the year, and I was kind of like satisfied, like Black Panther I really enjoyed. Again, it wasn't the best thing in the world for me, but I still really enjoyed it. And Avengers was amazing, and I was like, I'm good. I'm down for this. Was Justice League this year as well?
No, Justice League was also this year, man.
Okay, cool. Well, I really enjoyed Justice League as well. Like that was
We're
one
the
of
two people who enjoyed that movie.
and Jenny really enjoyed Justice League because she loves the Flash and she loves Ezra Miller. But I was like, totally in for Justice League. I loved it. I thought it was really fun. Like it wasn't like the best movie in the world, but I really enjoyed it. And I was like, okay, I'll go see Spider-Verse and I'll go see Aquaman, but like I wasn't like, I need a superhero movie to save this year because Avengers Infinity War did that. It could have just been the only superhero movie this year.
Yeah.
But then I went to see Spider-Verse. And it just blew my mind. It was so good. It was such a it was like the opposite of Marvel fatigue, where it was like, hey, how do we do a Marvel movie completely different to any other Marvel movie, you know? And how do we do a Spider-Man movie completely different to any Spider-Man movie that is still faithful to the character? I don't want to go too much into it because I really want to speak to you about it, and I don't want to color your opinions.
Hopefully the next, either tomorrow or the day after we see it.
I get you. And you don't have to rush to go see it. I think people are being pretty good
Well,
with
I mean,
spoilers.
the internet's been great, but like I have a certain limit
Yeah.
to how far I get to. I think it's just my fuck it meter gets to a certain point with spoilers where I just go, I'll read this article. Who gives a shit?
But do you? No, I'm not gonna say. And then you got movies like Venom and Aquaman, which so Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I just wanted to say, was like a really good movie. Really, really, a lot of talented people worked on that film, and it just produced one of the best superhero movies of all time, possibly taking the spot from my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time.
Interesting. So I've been seeing a lot of conversation with this of people bringing back the age-old argument of, hey, when are movies gonna not just be best animated movie, or when it becomes just best movie?
Yeah.
And this is a movie where a lot of people are like, yeah, no, this is like one of the best things that came out this year, not just animation, but in general. Well, and also taking that stigma away of just animation being somehow lesser than
or different than, you know.
Yeah.
I think that also comes down to actors as well in animation, because, you know, you look at the famous one is top 10 best Batmans, you know, and at the top of a lot of people's lists is Kevin Conroy, and I would argue that my top Batman is Kevin Conroy, but a lot of people will go, no, that doesn't count because he's not live action, you know, even though he is possibly the most, you know, when you read a Batman comic, whose voice do you hear in your head? It's Kevin Conroy.
Well, he's also like the longest running, if you think about that also.
And to me, do I say this? Do you mind if I spoil a casting decision in Into the
I was just saying, I
Spider-Verse?
know like Nicolas Cage and guy from New Girl,
Jake Johnson.
Jake Johnson.
Do you know who plays? Okay, I'll just say this. I won't even say anything. There is a Spider-Man in this movie. I don't think it's a spoiler to say.
John Mulaney, right?
No.
He plays Spider-Man?
He does play Spider-Man, but that's not the person I'm talking about.
Okay, so this is not one of the 5 or whoever.
This is not one of the
main.
Yeah, they're not the ones on the poster. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say there are little secret Spider-Men in this movie. Little extra ones. I think that is a given going into a movie called Spider-Verse.
Well, and then also they did release this Christmas album.
Yes.
That had Chris Pine.
Okay.
Singing.
Good. Okay. Spoilers for everyone. Chris Pine is my favorite Peter Parker. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything else, but even my favorite Peter Parker before this was always Andrew Garfield. I just loved him. I think I connected with him. At the time I saw that movie, it was like the perfect age. But Chris Pine is now my favorite Peter Parker. I'm not going to say anything else. But like, it doesn't matter that he's animated to me. He just nails the character so well.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was just a good movie. Then I went to see, not then, but like also this year we went to see Venom and we went to see Aquaman. Both movies Venom. I had very interesting reactions to, where it was like, wow, this is different. and I felt myself like really enjoying how different the movies were to bog standard superhero movies. So like in the case of Venom, it was like Deadpool-esque. It was like almost like a comedy.
You saved that movie for me, by the way. Because if you had not told me to look at it as a comedy, because I went into it going, okay, this is a dumb, ridiculous movie. I did not go into it looking for this, like, you know, superhero movie. It's a weird, like, romantic, I like to make it seem like the romantic moments were more than they were. They were very small, but they were there.
But
he
definitely had
such a weird screwball comedy.
It is. It's strange. It's like, it's off the wall. There's a lot of like improvised comedy I found, and as much as quality film, like saying that it's a quality film, I don't know, but just in terms of, we talked about this before, in terms of like, did I enjoy the film, how much enjoyment did I glean off the film? I gleaned an intense amount of enjoyment out of the film, so I feel like just based on enjoyment alone, which is like, you know, the prime thing for me of like, is a movie good, did I enjoy it? Yes, I think that movie was really good, and I think part of that reason was because of how different it was and how different of an approach it took to Marvel. To
like if I'm
movies.
sitting at home with a bunch of friends, I'm not going to turn on Lord of the Rings,
Yes.
even though those are amazingly made. We're not talking about the Hobbit movies, you know, straight the trilogy. But I would turn on Venom.
Yeah. And I think seeing it with my brother and one of my best friends was another advantage, because it's like the whole time in the cinema we're just cracking up and laughing. And even if the movie didn't intend for that, I'm still glad that the movie gave us that experience, you know? And then there were even bits where it was cool, like when you see Venom the only one time in the movie, which I thought was kind of an interesting, fun choice, where he only web swings once. And it's like such a quick moment, but I remember turning to because me and my brother, we grew up on the animated series, you know, and Venom's a huge character in that. And seeing Venom swing and then turning to each other and be like, oh my god, he did it! Like, even though it's got nothing to do with Spider-Man in this movie, like, it was such a... And like this scene where he's like at the top of the building and he's like, he's gonna jump, and then he takes the elevator, was such like a tease. But like, I thought it was so fun, and then seeing Carnage at the end, even though the wig was just insane. And
God, what were they thinking? They could have just kept Woody Harrelson bald.
I know. But it's like funny because to me it felt like the movie was already at that tone where a bad wig would have been a no-brainer. It's like, we've already come this far, we may as well go the whole hog. And then cutting over to Aquaman, which I'm not sure you haven't seen Aquaman yet, have you?
No, yeah.
Okay, so I won't spoil anything for Aquaman, but Aquaman was an interesting one because for me, Aquaman was an amazing like experience, because it was a movie that had personally, that I felt had a really, really strong direction. The director really did a really good job. It had some awesome performances. The visual effects team made one of the most amazing looking superhero movies and superhero costumes of all time, but the script was trash. So it was like this weird dichotomy of like, usually when a script is bad, this isn't always the case, but just for me, in my experience, if a script is bad, a director is bad, you know? Like, they're kind of paired, because the director chooses to use a script. So if the director chooses a bad script, usually it means he's a bad director. But James Wan, whether or not it was his choice, if he just had to direct the script they gave him or what, but he is such a good director, and I love his action films. He does such a good job with action films, and he does a great job with Aquaman, but the script he was handed was just horrible. It was just awful and disjointed. There are some really good moments and some good ideas, but they pack way too much in. But what kept me going throughout the movie was like this weird thing of like, I don't like this script. The dialogue is stilted, but the movie is so good in spite of its script that it's almost more impressive. You know?
So this sounds a lot, and this might be oh god, it's weird. I love like saying hot takes.
Yes, you do.
But
That's one of your brands.
It's one of my brand. But it's also gotten to this point on the internet where people use it like actually as if they have an opinion that's very controversial.
Yeah.
I'm more so using it like I know my opinions are like dumb and it doesn't matter because who cares? But this sounds a lot like prequel Star Wars area.
Ooh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Where stilted dialogue and script. But like everything else, like the CGI and everything to create like a really cool environment and a really cool world, and you have really good actors who look the part, but the words, the dialogue, and the general plot is just not there.
Yeah, I would say it's probably closer to episode 3. If I'm going to compare it to any of the prequels, it's probably episode 3, because episode 3 I felt they learned from a lot of the mistakes directorial wise, and but the script was still bad personally. I felt for number 3, but like the visual effects of number 3 is on point. The fights are amazing. The acting is really good. Like even Hayden Christensen, who I didn't think was the best, has some really good moments. But like you said, like the script is just not there, but it's still enjoying to watch because George Lucas really kind of I think George Lucas really was like, oh, this is gonna be my last Star Wars movie, so I'm gonna go all in and I'm gonna try my best and I'm gonna really do it like really well.
Yeah.
So I think the directing of number 3 was really good. But this movie was just like, it felt fun and actiony, and there were even bits of the script that I did like. I just felt like whoever wrote this movie was such a big Aquaman fan and was terrified they wouldn't get a sequel. That's what I really.
So they're just putting all the things.
They were right. I'm not a huge Aquaman fan, but I know a lot. I know a lot of Jeff Johns' Aquaman, which is what this movie was mainly based on. So a lot of Jeff Johns' Aquaman, because he did quite a lot if you think about it. Like,
yeah, he did like 20 or.
Yeah, and like 4 issues of a comic can become a movie if you really try. So like, it feels like this movie is every single piece of Jeff Johns' Aquaman lore stuffed into the same. I mean, even
I saw that from the trailer, because you get like, you've got his brother, you've got Black Manta, you've got the trench, like literally all of the things.
The trench in this movie are so cool, but take up like 10 minutes of screen time, because it's like but like the trench, the original, I mean, when the New 52 came out and I picked up Aquaman because I was like, ooh, Aquaman, you know, I get to jump on issue 1. Reading that first arc, like it's a 4-issue arc of the trench, is so good and so interesting, and such a good interesting like jumping on point for Aquaman, because it's not like an origin or anything, it's literally just the trench, it's just the story of the trench. And I was like, that's such a cool idea. And then having that reduced to like 10 minutes of the movie was like insane. But the funny thing is, this is where I talk about the directing flipping on the head. The script gives the trench no time. It's such a disservice to the trench to have them in the script for 10 minutes. But then James Wan looks at them and goes, okay, they only get to be in it for 10 minutes. How do I make them the most faithful, most interesting adaptation of the trench, so that even though they are only in it for 10 minutes, the fans of the trench will be like, that was amazing.
I mean, that one visual, I think, of just the sea of the trench going downwards and swimming and the red light or whatever, like, that's one of those dumb Twitter, like, one perfect shot.
Yes, 100%.
Like, moments.
Like, that I think you can even pair that with the panel from that first that's first arc from Jeff Johns' run, and it like fits perfectly. It's like it's such a good movie visually and directorially that I can forgive the script, and like the script by itself would be like a 3, but it bumps the whole movie up to like a 7 for me.
Yeah.
Like so it was just a year of, like, for me, interesting superhero movies, strange superhero movies, really good ones, obviously, like Infinity War, but also like ones that try something new, and even ones that I thought were still formulaic, like Black Panther. They still technically tried something new, because they actually decided to give a platform to this superhero who is huge, but no one knows about outside of, like, you know, fans of him. So it's like, it's insane, and he deserved a movie long before this. So that was
it's still horrifying that Ant-Man got a movie before Black Panther. It is a travesty.
The fact that he got a sequel as well.
Yeah.
Like,
disgusting.
But
also, I mean, Scarlett Johansson is Scarlett Johansson. You can argue about her agent giving her the worst roles possible that she should not accept. Yeah. But it is also a travesty that some of these movies have happened before a Black Widow movie happened, who is arguably had a breakout, one of the coolest breakout like scenes in the first Avengers movie. And then you can argue with how she's handled after that, but I think in the first couple of phases, like, Black Widow was very deserving of a solo movie.
Yeah, I think Black Widow's going to be interesting, because she's one of those characters where I don't really know much outside of the cinematic Black Widow, you know? Like, I think she's a lot more of like this Russian spy element, you know, than she is the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent in the comics, from what I can tell. And there's a lot of different versions of her and stuff, but I think that, like, it's an interesting idea, but I think that she definitely deserved a movie because of the fact that it was Scarlett Johansson. She brought so much character to that character. You know, she brought so much to that character, and she was there from so early on, and people were always wondering about it. And I wouldn't even say, I would argue that, like, it would be as pointless as Ant-Man if it wasn't for moments like like when she's talking to Loki in that first Avengers movie, and she mentions like the red on the ledger. Is that how she says it? It's something like
the red on the like my ledger has red on it or whatever.
Yeah, like those moments are like little sneak peeks into a story, and then also Avengers 2 is one of the most famous scenes. Is like when it cuts to her in the Black Widow training facility and stuff like that.
We had not like Avengers 2 is what Avengers 2 is. Some people enjoy it, most people don't enjoy it.
Okay,
but I'm like, if you take out Avengers 2 and instead of using that as just a minor subplot for this weird Hulk Black Widow romance. That doesn't go anywhere. I mean, you could argue. I don't think it goes anywhere. I don't. But
okay, right.
And just use that for a full Black Widow movie of like, I just want to see like Scarlett Johansson in like Russian, winter gear, going through an old abandoned like mansion and seeing flashes of these different rooms and her training and stuff, and then just do it. She has to fight an old classmate who was like now this trained, brainwashed serial killer who's coming after her. Whatever. Like, bam, easy plot right there. And then you can have the ending, her like have a Winter Soldier Cap moment with her.
Ooh, okay, interesting. That would be cool
because I'm a
like she
sucker
gets
for like
her own...
people who fight each other, like having like an emotional like, we should stop fighting because we actually care about each other moment. That's like, I'm a sucker.
I thought the Black Widow movie was going to happen a lot earlier, to be honest, because I was a big fan of Agent Carter, the TV show. Did you ever watch any of that?
No.
So I was a huge fan of the show when it was coming out. I really liked the character of Agent Carter, Peggy Carter. Now I have to clarify because I already said the other one. But like, her show was such an interesting little like low stakes show that just kind of took place in the universe, but didn't feel like you needed to watch it to understand anything. And in the second season, you meet a Black Widow, and you meet, just like Natasha Romanoff, like she's gone through the same program Natasha Romanoff has because it's existed since World War II. So like you meet a Black Widow agent, and it was such an interesting take because she has a lot of the same fighting styles and a lot of the same like hang-ups that Natasha has in the later movies, or well, I guess the earlier movies, but technically later in chronology. Yeah. But like, I thought that was such a good setup, and then you have the bit in Avengers 2 which happened around about the same time where they set up her in that that facility that they show in Agent Carter. So I was like, they're clearly building something. But then I think they got swept up in that kind of like, do you remember when Marvel made the kind of noticeable shift to cosmic? Because they were like, Earth is running out of ideas. So I think they got swept up in that, and then they kind of put Black Widow on the back burner. So I'm glad that she's finally getting a story, because she has been the most like teased character. Like, I feel like Clint, like Hawkeye, he really hasn't been set up for his own movie. He's just kind of there. Yeah. Like, I don't think there was ever any hints. But Natasha has always had like, ooh, we're going to find out about this one day. Oh, we're going to find out about this one day. And they never do.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
I love how this turned into like Marvel movie discussion.
Oh, God, yeah. We'll pivot away from this. What are some of your favorite things then that came out that weren't the superhero movies? They can be superhero comics, but or they can be movies that weren't superhero movies.
So I've got one thing that took over both of our lives, but I'm going to push that one to the side a little bit so I can kind of put a gap between some of the superhero discussions.
I get you. Yeah.
Because too much at the same time. But I forget that this was the year of like My Hero Academia.
Oh damn! Did that really start this year?
This is a year. I don't know if it started officially, but this is definitely the year when it blew up.
That's true. Yeah.
When it became like a pop culture phenomenon.
Yeah.
And it's still one of my favorite of recent memory, just ways of doing superheroes. And All Might is like, for me, just like one of my favorite Superman analogs. Because he's got a lot of the qualities of what I wish Superman would have, but I guess hasn't recently,
Yeah.
Not since like the Justice League cartoon, which is really like
like early
For me,
2000s.
one of my favorite versions of that character.
I get you. My hero is one of those things. I'm on the train. I'm definitely on the train, but I'm still haven't really got going yet. I'm currently on. I think the last episode I watched was very good. It was probably the best episode I've seen so far, and it was when
Have you gotten
Midoriya.
through the training, the UA, the sports?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the exact episode I just finished. It was
Okay.
when Midoriya fights the fire and ice guy.
Okay, yeah, that is one of the most visually
It
stunning episodes of recent. Like, oh my God.
it was very visually interesting and very stunning. But what really got me more so than a lot of the rest of the show, I felt a way about the show that I didn't feel since like he joined the school, which was I think it was like episode 3 or episode 2, something like that. But
Yeah.
like I got this feeling of like, oh man, I really feel for this character because the first time I felt that was when he was doing the training. You know, when he's on the beach and he's like running and he's trying to
Oh yeah.
train up to be to inherit the power from All Might. And like he goes from being like kind of just a normal body type to being really ripped, just because
Being
he's
ripped
so
as shit.
yeah. And I thought that was such an interesting because you don't really see that a lot in anime. They just kind of are always ripped, and they never really have that transformation period.
Or they're just skinny but have super strength.
Yeah. Or like One Punch Man, where he's just the strongest guy ever, just all the time. You know, like it's the opposite of
100 push-ups
Midoriya.
every day.
That's true. But I think that like that was really good, and then I kind of didn't really feel emotionally connected to the characters throughout the first season. The season finale was cool, but it didn't make me go, "Oh, I care about these characters," you know. And then that episode with the fire guy's father was really like intense, and I
And
love it.
Jeff is a piece of shit.
I love it when stuff like this happens, right? Because sometimes this happens in a TV show that I'm watching or a movie that I'm watching, and it always makes me like the TV show more, which sounds weird when I'm about to say what I'm saying, but it's when I disagree with the moral of the episode.
Yeah.
Like when I intensely disagree with how the episode played out and the moral that it's trying to teach, but I still really enjoyed how it conveyed that moral. So like the moral of that episode is that he should use the fire because he should use all of his power given to him, even if it represents something he hates. Right? Like he owns the fire, he makes it his own. But watching the episode, and maybe this is just a weird thing that I had, I didn't want him to use the fire. I wanted him to beat and be the best in spite of his father's power, you know, and only use the ice. But when he uses the fire, it's such an interesting moment. It's such a relatable moment, and Midoriya like coaxing it out of him was so good that even though I disagreed with how the episode played out, I still really respected it, and I thought it was really good how they like got to that point and how they coaxed him to that point.
You'll like more of his character development because it's not a switch flip.
No, yeah, I didn't feel that either. I thought that he still obviously doesn't like his father, and his father's still a dick, and I just could not stop laughing at his father's beard. Like,
Oh my God, that fire beard is so great.
the character designs in this show is so good. Jack Thomas sent me a Snapchat. He's way ahead of me, so it was a little bit of a spoiler. But it was just two characters that were clearly rip-offs of Naruto and Sasuke. Like it was making fun of Naruto and Sasuke, and I was like, that's so good. But yeah, I think my hero is an interesting one because I'm not like 100% on board yet, but I can feel myself slowly becoming more. The more I watch, the more I become like a little bit more engrossed.
Yeah, and also the anime's pacing doesn't help a lot, but that's all anime adaptations.
It's
Really?
90%, I'd say. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
most I still can't get over how much I really don't gel with the Full Metal Brotherhood anime, even though it's essentially the manga, and the manga is my favorite manga of all time. So it's like weird that I don't gel with it, but I realized it's just the pacing. That's the only difference between the
That's the
manga.
weird thing is Brotherhood has shit pacing because literally like I was watching with my wife and it's just like, oh, Maze is already dead. It's been like 5 episodes. Wow.
It is,
The original anime had like 80% filler,
Mm.
but it was all well done to where you didn't really think about it too much, and the pacing was much better to where things were able to actually breathe.
I think it's interesting that the original one was done before the manga was finished. So it's
Yeah.
almost like this alternate universe, you know. There's like loads of different villains, and people end up being not who they are and stuff in the manga, which is quite interesting. So I like that they both exist.
Yeah.
In terms of anime, do you have any others from 2018 that really stood out?
Geez, I feel like 2018 I watched a lot. Did I? I feel like I did. Mob Psycho 100,
I haven't
incredible.
seen that.
Mob Psycho is really, really good. And season two, I think, is coming up 2019.
Ooh.
So I'm very excited. It's this great story about this kid who I don't know if it's any ever time specifically stated, but I infer that he's on the spectrum.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Just of like how he deals with emotions and how he deals with people. He very much seems to be on that line, and he has these psychic abilities. And it's weird, as he feels more emotional
Mm-hmm.
about things, his power kind of increases and starts to become more and more unstable.
Oh, okay. That's
So the
interesting.
episodes do this like, really great thing where like someone will say something or you'll have a moment, a beat, and then you just see a counter go up to a number, 78%.
Okay.
Until you eventually, of course, get to the 100%, and it's super dope and cool, and also a little bit scary because he's just blanked out of his mind and doesn't know what's going on.
Oh
And so
man.
he's never like quite aware. And he's also got this boss who is one of my favorite characters. He's like a fake psychic, and he does these stupid like special tricks and abilities. It's like exorcist punch, and then in the caption it just reads like, this is a normal punch. And then he'll always get Mob, and who's his assistant, who he's training. He'd be like, oh, this ghost is way too weak for me, Mob, you handle it.
It
Regan,
reminds me.
or Reagan, yeah, I think that's his name. He's great, but he also really cares about Mob,
Yeah.
which is really because it's really good.
Did you ever
And it's
watch?
only like 12 episodes or something like that.
Oh wow, really? Oh nice.
Yeah, it's
Did you
super short.
did you ever read or watch Bleach?
Oh, yeah, I was on the Bleach train until pretty sure everyone else got off the Bleach train.
I was not on it very long. I read like 3 volumes, and it was okay. It was pretty good. But do you remember that character who is like an exorcist, a TV exorcist, but he's not really an
Oh, yeah,
exorcist.
I forget his name, yeah, but
But
he's
like,
got
and
like the big
then
afro or whatever.
yeah, and then Ichigo has to like save him,
Yeah.
and I thought that was what I came to mind when he was saying that. I loved that issue. It was such a good chapter. But yeah, I think in terms of anime, I watched one thing that really really stood out to me, and I know you've seen this too. And you told me that if I like this, I really like another movie that I have to watch, but still haven't seen, and I feel really bad because you're so passionate about this film. But I specifically saw a movie called A Silent Voice.
Oh, no. So I was told to watch A Silent Voice because I told JT that I loved Your Name.
Your Name, that's the one I haven't watched yet,
But
and
the
I
problem
have to
is I
watch it.
haven't found A Silent Voice on any streaming or any rental service.
Oh yeah, because your Netflix is different to ours. I always
Yeah.
forget. Damn. Okay. All right. So you haven't seen A Silent Voice yet?
No, but I know like I was reading some of the manga. Um,
Oh, I see.
but yeah, it just looks like something that'll make me bawl like a baby.
So I was forced to watch it, not like against my will, but like
Yeah.
Jack was like, "You have to watch this." So I was like, "Okay." We sat down and watched it, and like I was enjoying it. I was really enjoying it, and then it turns, it gets to like not the climax, but it gets to the real meat of what the story is.
Yeah.
And I remember just turning to Jack Thomas and like half jokingly to make him laugh, but then also like kind of seriously as well, getting fake angry at him because I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel this way. I didn't want to feel this deeply about something and feel so terribly sad, like in my soul. And you put me through this, and you are responsible for my
Yeah.
sadness. Like, it affected me in such a profound way, and it's such a masterpiece of filmmaking. I've gotta watch it. I've got to watch it again, and I want to watch Your Name as well, because Your Name like has been up there in all the lists. It's like Silent Voice and Your Name, the two that are always together. So I really want to watch Your Name as well. But like, A Silent Voice was I had a kind of a bland year for anime. I didn't get into anything new really that much. I tried a lot of different stuff. I'm trying this running anime right now, which is pretty good, but I'm not super
Oh my
into
God,
it
I'm
yet.
sorry. I'm starting to get floods because I watched a shit ton of stuff this year or last year. So it's so weird talking about and then realizing the amount of content that I actually consume.
You can reel some stuff off if you want.
Haikyuu, my volleyball anime,
I haven't seen that yet. Looks good.
so so good. It made me care so deeply about volleyball. But also, so the normal sports anime thing is that you have like the main character and the rival. They meet when they're younger.
Yeah.
Then years later, turns out they go to separate schools
Ooh.
and they have to kill each other. Basically same thing.
Yeah, with volleyballs.
What I like about Haikyuu though is that they met when they're younger, but they actually go to the same school and they're on the same team,
Oh, I see.
and they have to realize how to utilize the things that kind of upset each other about the other and utilize each other's strengths to become a cohesive team.
Ah, okay.
And so it's like they actually just form this like kind of deep bond and friendship about how much they just despise all the other people.
Mm.
And so it's this fun, this great show, and every character on the team is like you get emotionally invested in because they all have just different interesting stories. And volleyball is visually interesting and exciting to watch.
Mate, sports anime gets you. It's such a
Dude.
good genre of anime because it's like every time you always go in, because this is my experience with every sports anime because I don't really get into a lot of sports. I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of me.
Yeah.
But like I always start watching it being like, I don't care about insert sport here. So like I don't care
Yeah.
about golf. And then episode like 5, I'm like, I'm gonna look up the closest golf course and become a golfer because
Yeah, right.
this anime has affected me. It was like that when I watched not same, but I would say it's the same format. But I watched a jazz anime. Still one of the best animes of all time, Kids on a Slope. But like never really got into jazz. I love music, but I never got into jazz. And then I watched Kids on a Slope, and I'm like, I am becoming a piano player this year.
Yeah.
Like, it like does that to you, anime. I think it really like connects you with things that you are kind of outside your comfort zone. What are some other animes then this year that you can reel off and kind of recommend to people?
And then, I mean, also, this is the year that I caught up on One Piece. Finally.
Oh yes, you got a video about that I highly recommend to people. It was very in depth and got me
now
more
I'm
excited.
like, great thing is Shonen Jump has this new app,
Ooh,
which is wonderful. So for free, you get day and day the latest chapters
what?
translated. Yeah.
Oh man,
And then
that's
you
crazy.
pay like $2 a month and you get an entire back catalog.
I see. So you get to read it, like when it comes out. But if you want to read old issues, you have to like pay. That makes sense.
So for right now, I'm just reading like One Piece when it comes out. And then I started this one because it's only like 3 chapters in, called Chainsaw Man. My Instagram has and my Twitter have pretty good random panels from it. It's just this interesting, weird little manga.
Oh wow, okay.
But
I
what
did
else?
see some of the strange panels. I didn't really know what was going on, but I always like a quirky anime like that.
Yeah, and it's super weird, but also like really interesting. And you know what? I'm just gonna fill the time because I'm just gonna pull up my Crunchyroll queue real quick.
That's absolutely fine. In terms of anime, Song of Voices is a big one for me, but I don't think I got into a lot of other anime. I finally did finish a manga, My Little Monster. I finished the manga of My Little Monster.
Ooh, nice.
I'd refused to read the last issue for so long because I didn't want it to end. And I'd love to say that I read the last issue and I felt complete and whole, but it did just open a giant void in my soul. I was like, I will never be able to read this again. They have a second extra chunky volume, which is what happened to all the other characters, all the side characters.
Ooh.
So I haven't read that yet because it's like kind of like fun extra stuff. It's nothing like super meaty and story wise. But like the actual main end to the manga was satisfying, but it does that silly manga thing which I wish I could just like figure out why this is such a good trope, why this is such a big trope, where the last 5 pages are like the next 30 years of their life, all in like 5 pages.
Oh yeah.
It's like they get married, they have kids, they can do this is their job, this is their... I'm just like, whoa, slow down, just end the story. You don't have to show me when they grow up. Like, this is so much information that is like not gonna add to my experience. But like, I don't know, it was good, but it was just like very sad for me, because that is such a... It's probably my favorite anime of all time, that like small series. And did you get your queue up?
Yeah, so I forgot. I also Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, okay.
I super got into, which is just really good. It's one of those things where it gets, the beginning is like kind of slow, whatever, but then you get past the exam arc, you know,
yes. With
and then it picks up, and then it has an amazingly emotional resonant arc, and then drops down to this weird video game arc, which picks up at the end, and then it gets into like this second arc, which is like one of the most celebrated arcs, I guess, of the series, but I haven't finished it yet. Yeah, like the Chimera Ant arc. Everyone says it's amazing, but I just haven't. I just forgot about it.
That's very on brand.
Dragon Ball Super I got into for a weird moment in time. I watched like 48 episodes of that.
I was never a Dragon Ball guy myself, but I get it, you know?
I enjoyed Dragon Ball. And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's comfort food, I think. Where it's just like, all right, cool, I'm going to watch Goku in the game, just punch something, Kamehameha, man. Yeah. And then I remember I watched a shit ton of Boruto.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
which
that.
I fell off of.
Boruto a second.
Yeah, for a hot second. Then really, so what happened is I got to the episodes that talk about like, oh, this is about Sasuke and Sakura's daughter.
Okay.
And then you're just beat over the head with how horrible of a husband and father Sasuke is, and how much like Sakura should not have to deal with his shit. And it's just like, oh yeah, no, I forgot I don't have as much of an attachment to these characters as I actually thought I did.
Yeah, it was weird growing up through Naruto, like being young enough to really like it, and then slowly as I was watching it, be old enough to not like it anymore. You know, it was like a strange experience, because when it was happening, I thought that Naruto just got bad. You know, but then I realized that I just got old enough to realize that Naruto isn't as good as you think. It's got some really good ideas, but it kind of shits itself like real soon, and then the whole thing...
I think the beginning, until after the Chunin exams, like that stuff is really good. It has a lot of really good moments. It's not all perfect, you know.
There are bits. There's Gaara is really good.
I think Gaara's whole, that stuff. I sometimes rewatch the Rock Lee Gaara fight scene just for shits and giggles, because it's still
the weights is such a good scene.
Yeah, but it's also just one of those things where when I go, like, this is also a problem I had when I get into my video game section. Actually, I'll tie them together.
Okay.
I'm a big aesthetic and a big world person.
Okay.
No, it's about me. When I fall into things hard, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
But I also have something can be really good and amazing. But if it's not a world that I care to live in, or like that I care to be around in, it's just hard for me to stay interested.
I see what you're saying.
Naruto is an example of like ninjas and stuff like that. Cool. I'm not super interested in any of that though. Like, and then Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Which is a game that I just fell out of hard. Because it's one of those things that once I was away from it, I realized I'm like, I don't like the West. I don't want to be riding on horseback and crafting bullets and having to hold down axe to craft a bullet every single unit.
This is interesting because I literally just started Red Dead Redemption.
I'm sitting there for 30 minutes crafting bullets because you're going to do it one at a time. Because it's, the
honestly,
time.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about right now. I think
don't worry, you'll get to it at your campfire, I'm sure.
Okay. Red Dead Redemption is an interesting one because you are right. Like it has so much potential to be too big and too like time consuming, because like the game does something which I've wanted a lot of other games to do, which is that there's not really any fast travel. There's little bits where you could fast travel,
Yeah.
like if you
You can like
try.
pay for fast travel.
Yeah, but you still have to go to the place and pay for it. Like, you can't just fast
Yeah.
travel on the map wherever you are, which is something I really, really like, and I wish more games did. But it is also something where it is like, hey, if you are not up for living in this world, you are not going to finish this game. like, like it's not like Spider-Man where you can get from one end of the map to the other in like 10 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
you like, Red Dead is, and I think that the fact that I like the characters so much, not like them as people because they're not good people, but like I'm so interested in them and I'm so compelled by the characters. I hope that takes me, because right now I'm only on chapter 2, so God knows how long I'll stay with it. But I'm really enjoying it right now. I really want to know what happens with the characters. I think there's a lot of interesting flaws in the group. But that's like a big game for me that I can't really talk about because it was such on the tail end of the year, and I still haven't got anywhere near like into it. So it's like I don't really have much to say about it other than the fact that I'm currently enjoying it. Speaking of Spider-Man though, because I feel like
That was a game. That was my thing. I was waiting till later because it took up our lives.
Oh Jesus! Oh my
We
God!
100%ed that game before DLC came out.
We did, and luckily it still tells us that we did 100% it.
Yeah.
It just also says you've got to buy the DLC as well. God, that game was good though, wasn't it?
I also didn't play a lot of games this year,
Yeah.
but of the ones I did, I mean, that's my favorite game of the year. I didn't play God of War though, and every time I try to go buy it, it's out of stock.
I would. I mean, are you gonna finish Red Dead? Because I feel like
That's my thing, is I don't know if I'm gonna finish Red Dead.
yeah, because I feel like I would just trade.
I
Red
haven't
Dead
played
then.
it in like a month, and also like every time I try to get back into it, it is such a hassle because it's a very meticulous game,
100%. That's a good way to put
but
it.
also very clunky.
I feel like they want to do a lot. It's strange that it didn't come out on PC because it feels like a game that was originally for PC. There's so many different buttons that you have to press. Because like if you want to look at someone on the road, like they want to give you the option to look at someone and then you can like greet them, or you can curse them out, or you can rob them, or you can call at them. And it's like, to do that, you have to hold this button, make sure you're riding at a certain point. You double X and then hold X to ride the same speed as them.
Yeah.
And then you have to press circle to like talk to them, or X to like do something. And it's like so much different things that I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that they wanted to give you the freedom to do this. But in giving you the freedom, it makes everything so much more complicated. So you have to really want to be in that world, because you can't play that game passively. Like, I can give my little foster brother, and I give my little foster brother Spider-Man, and it is a joy because he picks it up so fast because it's simple. You know, it's just like you just swing around. Now, I would never give him Red Dead Redemption because there's a lot of murder and stuff in it, but like if a game existed with the same control scheme and UI as Red Dead Redemption, but it was a kid-friendly game, he still wouldn't be able to play it because it's like so complicated and convoluted.
Yeah.
Which is like this. I can't think of a better way for them to do that system, but it definitely is like not a pick up and play game. You know, it's not like a Spider-Man game where it's just Spider-Man's simplicity is what makes it so good.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's also one of those things where I don't really feel like it's one of those weird games where like open world games are weird for me. Really, it just depends on the game of what I want out of it. Some games, like, it's like, all right, I want to affect the world and make change, and Spider-Man, I just want to check off checkboxes.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
But Red Dead is a game that makes every little detail so important.
Yes, 100%.
That the little amount of change that I do affect the world takes me out of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I follow what you're saying. It takes you out of it, like it.
So like the game is like every little thing and every little person and every little object I can touch and interact with.
Yeah.
But then playing through the story and saying hi to like every single person, or like, you know, running people off the road or whatever, and filling that meter either way doesn't really affect how you are going to interact with the world and the story.
That's interesting that you've had that experience, because I find, I mean, maybe it's just the nature of the game being so random, but I found that some of the moments in the game, I had the opposite experience. Where, like, for example, I was riding along the road to like an objective at one point, and there was a man on the side of the road screaming in pain. So I was like, "What's this guy doing?" So I jump off the horse, I walk over to him, and he's like, "I just got bit by a snake. Like the venom's inside me." And I was like, "All right, well, I'll suck the venom out then." So I sucked the venom out of his leg, and then he was like, "Oh my god, you saved my life. I won't forget this." And then he ran away. So I was like, "That was strange." So then I just get back on my horse, and then 3 days later, like in the real world time, I jump on my PlayStation again. I load up Red Dead Redemption. I go into town to buy a gun, and outside the gun shop, the guy is there, and he's like, "Oh my god, you're the guy that like saved my life. I'll buy you a gun. Go in, choose a gun. I'll pay for it. Like whatever, I'll pay for it." And I was like, "Oh wow." Like, I've had a lot of little experiences like that, which was like, oh, that's really interesting.
Mine's more like main plot narrative.
I get what you're saying. So it's like not affected. And I think that is definitely the truth going forward, because it's such a huge, ambitious plot. There probably won't be a lot of opportunities for them to, interact.
It's one of those things where usually I'm a good guy when I play these games.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where, and that could just be how I'm playing the game and the story or whatever. But I'm just like, man, Arthur's just kind of like a piece of shit. Like, I mean, he's got his moments and he's got his introspective nature and things that make him interesting, whatever. But at the end of the day, their moral code is flimsy at best.
Yeah.
And so it made me, as I was interacting with the world, I just didn't give a shit. Half the time I forgot to put up my bandana. And I'd just be like, all right, cool, I'm going to rob you. I don't really care. I'm going to do this. Because every time I'd play a story mission, like a main story mission, I wasn't given any options to change my behavior.
I get you.
Or nobody interacted with how my behavior had changed. It's not like one of the gang guys is like, "Hey Arthur, why are you waiting to beat this random guy up? Just do it." It's just like, all right, cool. I'm going to rob innocent people and beat the crap out of them. But hey, I waved to everybody on my way here.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting game. It does force you to... There's not really a moral way of playing that game, because inherently you're playing as a bad person,
Yeah.
Just in virtue of the fact that you're a cowboy. And you're an outlaw. Like, it's an interesting position to be in, and I found myself playing the game differently, because when you play Mass Effect, which is a game where you play as like a clean slate, you can, from the get-go, there's no... Shepard doesn't have a character. So you play as Arthur, where he definitely has a character, and that character is a very flawed, awful human being. It does affect your moral choices, because you're like, well, I mean, it's not like I can be a good guy no matter what I choose,
Yeah.
So, like, I do make good choices, but I also make bad choices, because I'm like, well, I don't think Arthur would really let these guys go, But I think it all comes down to taste with that. But the game is really...
and I think it's also the Western thing as a big thing of like, I just don't enjoy the Wild West. Like, I like the nature and the things, but like, when I think about worlds that I really enjoy being in, like video games and stuff, like if I'm going in the past without technology, I want like a fantasy setting.
Yeah, you want magic to like compensate.
Yeah, I don't want like almost technology, because that's like boring. I'm like, if you're gonna give me the... Chloe doesn't like it either.
Chloe, it's Red Dead Redemption 2 as well.
Yeah,
that's a shame.
Confirmed.
I think.
But what are some of your... Do you have some other stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, going on video games, you mentioned it briefly, but like God of War is probably my game of the year. Completely unexpectedly. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I've never played a God of War game before in my life.
Yeah.
I didn't play the first three. I didn't play the prequel. I just played this one because everyone said it was so good, and I love PlayStation, so I was like, oh, it's PlayStation exclusive. I'll borrow it off a friend. But the game is so compelling, and it's very, very... The similarities and the differences between Red Dead are quite interesting, because the similarities being that you're playing as a flawed character, you're playing as a bad guy. I don't mean it like a bad guy as in like a villain, I just mean like he is not a nice person, But the difference between Red Dead being... It never gives you a choice. Kratos never has... You never have control over Kratos. You're just enacting his will. there's never a point where it's like, do you want to kill this person? It's like, no,
Yeah.
Kratos will decide whether or not he wants to kill the person. Usually it's yes. So you are
Kratos,
just playing...
Kratos is going to decide if he'll interact with his son or not.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the time he doesn't want to interact and his son
Yeah.
does. But it was such a compelling story, and the way that the game feeds into that story. And what I mean by the game feeding, I mean like the gameplay, like how you control Kratos, how you control like his attacks and his movement and everything that you input into the game, almost like the story using you, as opposed to Red Dead Redemption, where it's trying to give you the illusion that you are creating Arthur's destiny. God of War doesn't fake that. God of War isn't trying to make you think that you have any effect on the story. It is literally pulling you, like almost like lassoing you and pulling you through the story. And at points you're like, I don't want to go forward. I don't want to keep going. But the game's like, yes, you do. You're like, oh no. But it was such a compelling story, and the characters and the way that the game tells these stories using these moments where you're just going somewhere, you're just walking somewhere or rowing somewhere with your son, and the story is unfolding, and it's not a cutscene, it's just happening as you are playing the game. It's just such an interesting way, because you feel more connected to the characters then, because you're like, hey, remember that time that I was walking down the road and Atreus stopped me and was like, hey, you know, Dad, what about this, what about that? And like, I don't know, it was just such a compelling story, and I thought that the idea of it being a video game just enhanced it even more. Whereas a lot of times, you know, like you could argue that Uncharted, I love Uncharted, but it could work just as well as a movie. Like, whereas I felt God of War really used the game aspect to the advantage of the storytelling. As far as video games go, other than, I might make like a top 5 favorite video games, but like God of War is definitely up there for me as like the standout. And Spider-Man, obviously we did 100% of the Spider-Man. Spider-Man was fantastic. It was so fun and just a blast, and really emotional towards the end as well. But like we did a whole podcast about that. What are we missing then? Let's think of
I was gonna
some
say,
things
what
we're missing.
is miscellaneous that doesn't fit into like a video game? So like YouTube channels, books, anything.
TV shows we haven't really touched on. If you
Oh
want
yeah,
to speak about TV shows,
I think, was this the year of Weird Vampire Diaries? I think so.
I think this is the year
This
you
is the
got
year
like
we went full Vampire Diaries. I will not ever not defend that show. I think that show is very good for what it is, a CW vampire show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not prestige TV. It doesn't mean to be prestige TV.
Yeah.
But it is very good at telling its stories, and its characters have a great journey that I think gives you an ending that is actually satisfying, which is, you know, we don't always get that with TV shows. Even great, amazing TV shows have shit endings.
Yeah, and especially with shows like the CW, where they feel like they're designed to just go on and on and on and on forever and ever and ever, and just keep entertaining you forever. It's
Vampire
nice
Diaries
to
just
have
has a
one.
great emotional through line and a story, and just so many moments that like, just tear you apart.
Mm.
You know, but Vampire Diaries, great. I mean, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is a recent one, I think is great. It's so good.
I only watched that passively because I watched it like when Jen was watching it all the way through. She was binging it, and I would like come into the room, sit and watch a couple, you know, minutes of it, and then I'd have to go and do something. But like I didn't sit down and watch it fully. But what I saw was so like delightfully interesting and fun. Like it felt like that kind of nice, the charm of a CW show, but with so much better production quality and direction.
It reminds me of like Angel, but when Angel would get like really dark.
Yeah, I get you.
Because you'd have moments where like you like one of the episodes there's this dream demon, and some of the visuals in that episode are frightening.
Oh, when
That's
he's
also
like
a big baby.
He's like dissecting himself or something, or is he the one being dissected?
Yeah, he's doing an autopsy like on his own body, and then like the sisters like get fused together or something at the. It's so like it's one of those shows that I'm not usually very good with like horror stuff.
Yeah.
But this is like the type of creepy that I like, where it's creepy, but it's just kind of not campy, but like fun enough.
It was the first time when I was watching, again, like I can't speak to the whole thing because I only watched it in parts, but the parts that I did watch, it was the first time where I was like, oh, this is why people love Tim Burton. Like,
Yeah,
I've never understood the love of Tim Burton. For me, it's never really done it for me. But watching this was like that kind of... I got a feeling that I think is similar to what people get when they watch Tim Burton movies, where it's like fantasy horror. It's like horror, but
yeah,
in a fun way, you know? And I thought what I saw was really interesting, and I'm glad that it turned out to be a really good show.
yeah. The Christmas special was really good too,
I
or
haven't
the
seen that one either.
solstice special. Sorry.
That's
Uh,
really funny. I didn't know that that was what it was called.
yeah, it's great. Oh my
I
God. And I just love how that show, like, they just throw out phrases like praise Satan and the false god and all these things, and it just warms my heart.
The one that I'll say a TV show next, but I did want to mention because like I have a lot of admiration for the show because it hooked me. Whereas at the worst, I was the worst viewer because I was only coming in for every so often. So like the
Yeah,
fact that it still hooked me and got me interested, even though I knew nothing of what the fuck was going on. I didn't know the context of anything and who most of the characters were. I was like, why isn't Salem talking? Like that was a
yeah,
question that I had. But like one of them where they were arguing in like a court of law, and there was like a satanic, like it was like a satanic court, and they
yeah.
were all like arguing over whether Sabrina could like have, you know, choose to do the ritual or something. I can't remember what it was for, but the whole time there was like this big trap door in the front of the court, and just Satan was down there. He was just
Yeah,
there, like the
yeah.
whole time. They're like,
It just
"D-"
opens up and it's just like, oh, we gotta go downstairs.
and I
Great.
just thought that was such a good idea because it's like the what's the technique called in writing? It's like the beating heart, the idea of there's something under the surface that the character knows and doesn't want to say, and like
Yeah.
he's worried the other characters are going to find out. It was like that, but it was the opposite, where everyone knew that Satan was downstairs and they were just
It's
acting
like
like it was
it's like
normal.
Chekhov's gun. You know, once you introduce the Satan opening door in the first episode, by the end of the third act, it's gotta open up.
Yeah. It's so good. I just thought that was such. I just kept passing through while making like food and being like, it, what? Why are they going down there? And Jen's like, yeah, they're gonna go see Satan. They gotta talk to him. And I was like, okay.
Forgot.
A TV show for me this year that really was like, wow, was the new season of Doctor Who. Came back with an absolute bang. Like new Doctor, new writer, new showrunners. Like everything was completely new, but they managed to keep the charm that I love from Doctor Who and kind of reignite my love of it, because I've always watched Doctor Who. I will watch Doctor Who no matter how bad it gets. But
Yeah,
like I was never super into Matt Smith. I liked Peter Capaldi's acting, but I never really got into his series, you know?
yeah.
Like Matt Smith and Capaldi were both really good doctors, but I just felt like the material there, like, it was like, it was good. It wasn't just, but it just was rarely ever great. But then, like, she comes in and she just absolutely knocks it out of the park. They did this thing with the new season where they were like, we're not going to have we're not going to revisit any villains. So even though Doctor Who has got the biggest back catalogue of villains and people love to bring them back, he just wanted to do a season of no classic villains, like just all new villains that he
Nice.
created. New Doctor, new assistants, new TARDIS, like everything was brand new. And it was just such a good series. There were obviously duds. There's duds in every season of Doctor Who. It's just like a thing now. But like so many really good episodes. The Rosa Parks episode like stands out as one of the best. But then they did a New Year's Day special, which literally aired just today, and it was so intense because it was like they did a season of all new original monsters, and then the special for New Year's Day they did the Daleks. And it was like
Oh,
he finally got to use, you know, one of the classic Doctor Who monsters, and it was such an intense episode. But I think Doctor Who coming back was like such a cool highlight of the year because I'm such a big Doctor Who fan, and for so many years it's just kind of chugged away. So we're like, oh, the new Doctor Who's out, okay, let's watch it, and then forget about it. Oh, the new
yeah.
Doctor Who's out. So to have it be exciting again, to actually be excited for Doctor Who is like such a fun thing, you know. So that was really good, and I'm so glad that a lot of people have made this point, and you know I get it. It wasn't really in the back of my mind much, but now after watching it, I get where they were coming from. Everyone was very worried that if this was bad, that it would be like, the first female Doctor happens
Yeah,
to be
it's
a
bad because of...
Yeah, but it was so good that you can never make that argument. Like it was so good that people were like, listen, I didn't want there to be a female. I wasn't like this, but I know people that were like, I didn't want there to be a female Doctor, but like she's so good that I don't care anymore. Like it was so nice to have such a good series be the first female Doctor. It was just like setting a precedent, so that if you ever get like a Doctor in the future, who is like, they go female again, or they go man and then female, you can always look back at this one as being like, well, it can be both. It can be good in both genders.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a good show for 2018. Do you have any more TV shows for 2018 that you wanted to mention?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, 99?
99? We're
so
we're on season 5 now.
I haven't got there yet, but
it's just so good and funny and heartfelt.
It's Brooklyn Nine-Nine is the sitcom that made me realize why sitcoms are good again, because for so long I was like, sitcoms are boring, like they've all been done before, there's no point making a sitcom anymore, you got to make dramedies, you got to make animated shows. The actual genuine, like, the idea of a sitcom was just boring to me at this point. And then Brooklyn Nine-Nine came along, and I was like, nope, it's wrong. You can still make good sitcoms. And then after Brooklyn Nine-Nine, there was The Good Place, and like, so many, like. But I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine opened the doors for that.
Yeah.
I think they were the ones that were like, hey, I know Big Bang Theory is getting you down. I know that a big portion of you don't enjoy this like formulaic thing that's happening right now. Hold my beer, because Jake Peralta and the gang is going to just kick it out of the park.
My favorite thing about The Good Place and Brooklyn Nine-Nine is that they have done something with the sitcom formula that it's just such a breath of fresh air. Because, I'll specify this, American sitcoms.
Yes.
A lot of the humor and the situational comedy is based from a place of cynicism.
Yes.
And it's mean-spirited. The jokes are always at somebody else.
I get you. Yeah.
Like it's friends. They're making fun of Ross, or making fun of Rachel, or making fun of how dumb this person is. How I Met Your Mother. Oh, let's make fun of these people that we don't like or don't understand or whatever. While Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Good Place, it's really like I don't know the specific term I would say, like compassionate comedy.
Yeah.
Where we can be funny and still have funny situations, but it's not really the case. Even a character like Boyle, who is very much a guy that you're supposed to laugh at. You're not laughing at him out of a meanness, You're not laughing at him because he's different. You're more so laughing at him because of how exuberant he is about these interests.
I think that's an interesting take that I've never actually thought about before. Like, I've never really taken that on board and thought about why Brooklyn Nine-Nine is so different to these sitcoms that you see a lot. But you have kind of made me think now, because I'm thinking of what I really kind of got put off by the later seasons of How I Met Your Mother, by Big Bang Theory, by 2.5 Men, all these sitcoms that were kind of like coming out and just really not resonating with me, and like, ignoring the fact that it's like, inserting laughs, because inserting laughs has never really bothered me. I get why it's annoying, but like, I grew up on Monty Python, and Monty Python is like, every single sketch has got inserted laughs, but I still think it's genius. Like, so I was trying to figure out why, and I never really did, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine came along, and I just was like, oh, I don't care anymore. But thinking about it, I think that it is really a case of not really choosing a side. Because if you look at Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like you said, they do make fun of each other, and making fun of each other is one of my favorite things to do. I love making fun of my friends. But it's done in a way that you do with your friends, where it's like, I love you so much that I'm going to make fun of you. Like, they make fun of Boyle, but they also, like, Jake Peralta, like, he doesn't... It's not like a lot of other sitcoms where it's like, oh, I'm embarrassed to say that I'm your friend. Like, Jake Peralta will always say that Charles Boyle is his best friend and he loves him and he is open about it, you know? So when he makes fun of him, it feels like two friends making fun of each other. And like Terry, when Terry like loses his shit at people, you always know that he's not actually angry to the point where he hates them, you know? He's just angry because he's like, I want you to be better. You know, it's always friend-based comedy, and there's always that backbone of like what you said. And then the other side of that, the other sitcom that I think like to me blew up and I was like, this is amazing, is the complete opposite, where they choose the other side, where they're like, hey, we're gonna be 100% with how mean these people are, and it's funny how mean they are. So it's not like this kind of in-between zone like the Big Bang Theory, where there's no sincerity but they're also still kind of friends, which is Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is the complete opposite of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where it's just the worst people ever in existence that have ever existed. So it's like, you either choose a side, or you exist in this mediocrity in the middle.
Yeah.
I got sick of the mediocrity, the kind of like, there was nothing behind the comedy, and I think that in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, there's this intense, like you said, compassion behind the comedy.
Yeah.
And nothing more than... Do you remember the episode Moo Moo, which is when Terry gets stopped in the street by a white cop? That was the episode where I was like, oh, I get it now. I know why I love this show so much, because it's like, behind all the jokes, there's still an actual story and actual characters there. And it was so intense, but still funny at the same time. Like, they're having this really interesting conversation where Captain Holt and Terry are sitting down and they're talking about... Because Captain Holt is like, don't report this person because it could look bad on you. And Terry is arguing, like, I want to report this person. This is, you know, I can't believe you're telling me not to. And it's a really intense conversation. But the gag is there's this woman called Deborah that they both hate. And she's like, they hear her close to the door and they're like, oh God, don't speak, Deborah's here. They're still managing to joke. And the way they do it so successfully is they do it like you would in real life, like when you're with your friends. They joke.
Well, and that's the thing, is that even the things that they joke, like that they will like maybe laugh at about the other, are also on the flip side a thing that they love about that person.
Yes, 100%. Like with Rosa, like where they joke about how scary she is, but they also love how like intimidating and how cool she is. Like it's such a good show. Like anyone who hasn't seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine is like.
And I've also adapted like cool. Like I say that literally all the time. And it also helps that Jake and Amy are like me and Christina.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, I do.
Christina's super like binders and organization and very much like...
I love the episode with with her father, where he's got the binders, and it's the guy who played the guy in Star Wars. He's a huge actor, but he's
what's his name in Star Wars?
He's Bail Organa.
Bail Organa.
Yeah. And he's just so good. He's just got the files and files and files. And then he's like, you're lying to me, Jake. And he's like, how do you know? He's like, because I got a file on you. And he's got a huge file.
And it's even nicer and better.
It's just such a sincere show. And like, Jake's love of Die Hard, for me, doesn't feel like a gimmick. It feels like that character actually genuinely does love Die Hard.
Yeah.
And like the episode in the shopping mall when he lets Boyle do the John McClane bit.
Yeah.
And he messes it up, and he's like, is so angry at him for messing it up and still loves him. It's just like such a nice moment. Because he says like, yippee ki play, mother blubber.
Yeah. It's so good. And Good Place is also...
Good Place is something else. Good Place
is like it teaches me about philosophy, like legitimately teaches me things. But then also, it's weird because like there's this joke that you can every character of the Place, whatever, every person can relate to one person with a Good Place.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
And it's one of those things of like, I'm super cheaty, very much a cheaty. And so it's just weird watching the show and then getting to almost kind of like go on an introspective journey through this character and going like, wow, maybe that is something that I need to work on, or like, maybe like in just a way that they go through different philosophies of why somebody's being a good person and what that means, and it's just it's also super heartfelt and very, very funny.
There is a episode of The Good Place. I think it's called The Trolley Problem. I'm not
Yes.
sure if that's the actual name of it, but that's how I always
Yeah,
refer
that's
to it. It is one of the best written episodes of a TV show ever, because the way that it plays out, I want to make a video about it at one point if I rewatch it and make notes and stuff, because the way that it plays out is so well, because they spend the first half of the episode doing this funny gag, but it's also an informative gag. It's like a funny but informative bit about the actual literal trolley problem. So they explain the
yeah.
trolley problem, then they actually manifest it in this weird virtual, reality where like Chidi actually is on a trolley and he has to make all these decisions. And that was like funny because you have the explanation, which is the lesson, and then you have the what do you call it, the increasing of stakes, where it's like
The
actually
rising action.
becomes the rising action. So you go, okay, there's the joke. You have this lesson, and then you have the rising action of him actually being in the trolley. So there's the joke. But what you don't realize is later on in the episode, Michael, who is the whole like he's the master of this like crazy real life trolley problem. Later in the episode, he actually has to make a decision, which is never really pointed out, but it is a trolley problem. Like he has to make a trolley problem decision later in the episode, and the way that the episode subtly teaches you about the idea, reinforces the idea, and then pays it off at the end is just one of the best written episodes of a TV show I've ever seen. Because I remember watching it and being like, oh my god, this is so cool. Because at the end of the episode, he's so confused and confounded, but he also is like confident about it, because he's like, oh no, I've spent the whole the last day doing this theoretically. And The Good Place is just up there for me.
And there's just one little bit, one last little thing about The Good Place. Good Place is such a great show at reinventing itself. It's a show that doesn't seem like it has a long premise, but has been able to pull the wool under our eyes and reinvent itself constantly. But it's interesting because you watch the show and you get to the ending, whatever, and it reinvents itself for the second season. And you feel this uneasiness as a viewer because you're like, oh man, I felt very connected to these characters the way that they were, and now they're different. And then in the first episode of the second season, it completely just does that thing 500 more times. Like thousands and thousands of more times, to a point where you get like, oh, I'm just so disoriented now. I don't know what's going on anymore. And then the third season basically just goes back to that feeling and is like, hey, we know you felt this way. We know you were emotionally attached. Guess what? We are too. Don't worry. We're helping you through this. And it's just such an interesting way of taking like the worries and like expectations of the viewer and then simmering on that and then finally discussing them later on.
Yeah, and it really does take risks, because it's like, we could lose you right now.
Yeah.
But we're going to take this risk because we don't want to make a show that is 5 seasons of them in the same town, with the same premise, with Michael being the same person the whole time. Like, it could have easily have done that, and it could have coasted on that, just like Friends, for like, those Friends is like the same 2 flats, and they just go between the same 2 flats. Like, it could have been The Good Place for that whole time, where just the whole time she's trying to, get away with not being caught, but then it just completely just keeps taking risks. And then after you've gotten used to season 2, it takes another risk, and you're like, oh my god, like season 3, I just kept being like, how is this the same show? Is this the same show? Did we change shows? Like, what is going on? Like, and the have you seen the mid-season finale?
Yes. Oh my god.
Oh, such a good I don't know how they pulled it off. I genuinely don't know how they pulled it off. But The Good Place is a big one. I mentioned it briefly, but I will say it again. Always Sunny I really got into this year, for the complete opposite reason of it just taking the risk of being like, how can we make the most horrible characters in the world have a comedy show, Like, it does the opposite, where it's just like the most insincere, horrible, most mean people in the world, and it's just like kind of like, it's the most dangerous kind of humor ever, but like I'm really appreciating that. And another show that I think I mentioned it every single year because every single year it blows it out of the park is BoJack Horseman. Just one of the best shows ever, and like every year they come out with a season, I'm like, this is the season where it's gonna lose it, and it doesn't, and it's just always good.
There are too many Netflix originals.
There are Glow. We didn't
I
mention Glow.
I forgot about Glow.
Dude, Glow.
I don't know if we
so
can say anything
good.
else. A series of unfortunate events.
That's come out today. The new season is out today.
What?
Yeah, dude. The new season just came out today.
Oh, I'm so glad we have a couple days off.
Oh my god, I can't wait. Okay.
So I think any Netflix shows you want to mention real quick.
Big Mouth I really enjoyed. I didn't think I was gonna like it. It looked like a really weird premise and I didn't like it, but then I got into it and it's got a lot of heart to it, so I liked it. Jeez, so many.
Daredevil season 3 was really good, and I'm sad it's over with. Punisher, I think, was this year. That was surprisingly good. I enjoyed it. I think so.
Oh wow! I
think
know
that was like
next
February.
season is coming out soon.
Yeah. Deborah Ann Woll is going to have her own D&D show on Geek and Sundry. I'm very excited about that.
Ooh, that's cool. Okay, let's talk about YouTubers then, shall we?
Okay.
What YouTubers did I get into this year? I'm not quite sure. I think I'm gonna have to look this one up. Do you wanna go first?
I mean, my main one is probably Critical Role.
Yes, that was.
I got
we talked
very,
about that a
very
lot.
much into Critical Role this year.
Yeah.
This is a year that I started Campaign 2 and just started and caught all the way up. And now I'm waiting on the break to end. But this show really showed me like how D&D, like Dungeons and Dragons, like how it's played, how it can be used as a storytelling device. Oh God, it also just, I don't know, showed me like it's just really emotional and really fun, and it's this great collaborative storytelling that is just not something you see all the time.
Yeah,
Of just
dude.
all these different people who have these different stories for their characters, who are all seamlessly kind of fitting them together, and having them contrast each other and create tension and conflict. That is just mwah. It's so good.
It's so impressive when you see like a campaign like that where it's just like it works so well, and it just does, and it's just fun, and it's just and I think I've never been a big Critical Role guy myself just because I haven't gotten into it, but like I'm really impressed at how they took something like D&D and they've really put it into the mainstream, I feel, and they've allowed a lot of people to come into it in a really accessible way. Like you getting into D&D through Critical Role is probably not like an outlier story. It's probably a lot of people have been like that, and I think they've given that to a lot of people, which is really good. And they're just like really talented people outside of that, even
Super talented. You know what? I'm gonna go through a quick some of my favorite moments from the series.
Oh, okay.
Also
I
to
won't
give
know
you
this, but
some more time. Yeah, well, I'll describe one. But so in the last episode before the break, we learned the backstory of Ashley Johnson's character, Yasha.
Okay.
Well, we got some more snippets of the backstory, whatever. And it's this really heartbreaking story of this barbarian woman who lives in this tribe and fell in love with a person that was not who her tribe had assigned to her.
I see.
And so they murdered her.
Oh my god.
Of course, because it's Dungeons and Dragons. Everyone dies, I guess. And what you thought was this personality quirk of just her picking up flowers, like, wherever they are, is she's collecting flowers for the day that she eventually goes back to see her wife's grave.
Oh man.
And it's just like, it just rips your heart out. And it's great because Ashley Johnson works on this TV show called Blind Spot.
Okay.
So she's not there all the time.
I see.
Because she's filming. So it's great when she is there, and it's nice because, she just shows up to rip our hearts out, and then she'll leave again. That was great. Really, really emotional. Just all the moments between like the different characters. There's just been a lot of like really funny moments. And Liam O'Brien's character Caleb is one of my favorite garbage wizard. He's just
Garbage wizard.
well, he's like this he's like this guy, this wizard who's very, very like dirty and dressed down and just has horrible self-esteem issues and self like deprecation and depression and issues like that because of
Oh wow, okay.
shitty past.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just one of those things where you can like looking at a mirror sometimes when you're watching like a TV show or something and you can see yourself in
Oh
person and
yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah. I
like,
get you.
"Oh, I know what you're doing there. I know that habit. I know that habit very well." And so just Caleb the garbage man and
It makes
just
you
his like
uncomfortable because you see it in yourself as well.
yeah. And it's this interesting journey of like getting to this point where you're like, wow, he's like joking around with people and like, he seems like he's really part of this group. And then recently the kind of reverting back into himself, and you're like, no, oh
Mm.
no. And it's so good. Every like you can't watch the show and not fall in love with at least one of the characters for
Mm.
whatever reason, because I think these people are so talented and so good at making sure everyone is fully fleshed out.
Yeah, I get you, and also the idea of it being a D&D game is just so impressive as well because it's like oh wow, all these characters exist and a lot of it is improv,
Yeah.
so it's so impressive. A YouTuber that I think I'll point out because not only did I get into them in 2018, but they actually started in 2018 was a sketch comedy group called the Valley Folk because for a
Oh,
while I've really I've always loved sketch comedy, and for a while, sketch comedy has kind of been gone. Like it didn't exist on the platform in a huge major way. Little channels like Drop Dead Kev and Jack and Dean were doing it, but they weren't doing it like successfully. And then the Valley Folk came along and they reinvented the platform. They kind of found this interesting way to do sketch comedy on YouTube and still make it viable because they have like this podcast they do, then they have like a news show they do, which is kind of like SNL's, this
weekend update.
Weekend Update, yeah, yeah. But then they also have the main flagship show, which is sketches intercut with a Q&A. So it's like it lengthens the video, and the Q&As are often really funny as well, and the Q&As can sometimes inform the sketches. So it's like it helps sketches exist in the YouTube algorithm and helps the channel stay sketch heavy and not have to worry about doing other things and not putting out as many sketches because they put one sketch a week, which is a lot for YouTubers now.
Yeah.
But still manage to keep it going and still manage to keep it interesting and fun. So the Valley Folk is a big one for me, and also because a lot of those guys in the Valley Folk I was fans of before they formed the Valley Folk when they were in like Sauce
Yeah.
and stuff. And then little things like Jack and Dean recently got the rights to their show that was like on a like one of those pop-up streaming platforms that like exists for 6 months and then like collapses, and then all the
Yeah.
people that made shows for it, they don't get their shows back. So there's no way to watch the shows. So Jack and Dean is a sketch comedy troupe that made a TV show, like 2 seasons of a TV show for Full Screen, which was like a platform,
Oh, yeah.
and that dissolved, and they finally got the rights back, and they recently put out the whole series on their YouTube channel to watch for free. So whereas it was behind a paywall for a while, now it's like available for everyone to watch, and the whole series is really good, really charming, fun. Like it's fun to watch sketch comedians try to make a narrative because like they take all their skills from sketch, but they don't get to like throw it out at the end of the 10 minutes. It actually has to keep
Yeah.
going. So that was really interesting to watch. I don't know, like YouTube has been an interesting year because a lot of the big news has upset me, like a lot
Yeah.
of the big YouTube news, but I found in my corner of YouTube, and this is a lot, with the internet, you always have your own little corner. My
Yeah.
little corner of YouTube has done really well and has thrived, and a lot of good stuff has happened in the people that I follow. But just the general site is kind of in disarray right now. But it
Yeah.
hasn't really affected my. I don't know. Have you had the same experience in 2018 of like not really seeing the bad stuff that much?
Yeah, so like, because I was mostly like, I realized that I cut down the amount of content that I was watching on YouTube. I feel like not the amount of content per se, because the people I was watching not I was watching, were producing a lot of content.
I
But
see.
the different types of channels, I guess I wasn't watching as much.
I see. Okay.
Because I feel I used to be like, all right, here are like 10 different gaming channels and like whatever different. And then it really just kind of became like, all right, I have like my D&D podcast that I watch. I
Yeah.
have like the kind of funny games. I have like Game Grumps if I'm in the mood for it.
Yeah, it's the same with me in Game Grumps if I'm in the
And then
mood.
like Maximilian for like my fighting games.
Mm.
And like that's really it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So like cuz I'm still subscribed to like a whole bunch of people. But
Yeah.
like I've realized that the amount of people that I actually watch are just it's just like a very limited number because it's like, all right, I work for 8 hours a day, then I
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
home, then like so if I am watching something, it's like, all right, let me get my I can get my video game news from one source,
Yeah.
and then I can get my creative storytelling thing from like this source, and that's like all I super need.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, this is similar with me, where like I'm subscribed to too many people, and like I find sometimes as well. Tell me if you get this experience where you like a YouTuber for one show that they make, but they make
Yeah,
12 shows, and you're
yeah,
just like waiting for that one show to come out, so you have to like ignore all the crazy shit stuff that they put up. Um, so it's like it's interesting, but I find that like I like a lot of YouTubers. There's a lot of YouTubers that I like the Vlog Brothers a lot. They're always like those like you get a 3 minute video every week and something. And you're just
yeah,
like, oh, tracking with them. It's easy to watch. You check it on your phone or something. Like a lot of low stakes YouTubers. There's a guy called Mike Falzone who I've liked for a while, and
yeah. You talked about him before.
yeah, and he has like this show that he's been doing all year called Mike in the Morning, and it's like super like chill and not super exciting either. Like not I'm not
Yeah,
doing that as an insult. It's just chill. So you check it on and like I don't have to. When I put something on, I usually get stressed because I'm like, I have to pay attention to this, or otherwise it's gonna ruin it for me. If I'm
yeah,
not paying attention. So like, if I check on a movie, I can't be doing something in the background.
yeah,
But it's good to have like a couple of things that I can just chuck on and like, do some work in the background, or maybe do some dishes and not really pay that much attention. Kind of like a podcast, but for YouTube.
yeah.
And I think that is kind of what YouTube has kind of become for me a little bit as well. There are still those channels that I do pay attention to, but like some of them I'm just like, oh, I'll check these guys on. Like the Yogscast is that for me. Like I love the Yogscast, but they have so many videos, it's impossible to watch all their content.
Yeah,
Like,
that's another thing is like I get the not this day and age, whatever, like the idea is that to posting regular content on a regular basis.
mm,
But like I just don't have that much time.
no, yeah,
And especially with YouTube, it's this weird thing of like getting to a point where it's like I just like, all right, what am I in the mood for? I'll watch this video, whatever. Or I'll watch like 10 videos of one thing that I'm really in the mood for.
yeah,
But like a lot of the time, and I think it's now that I've gotten so much into Dungeons and Dragons, it's probably different than earlier in the year.
yeah,
But now a lot of what I do is like I've just been doing like weird prep and like not research, but just like looking at different ways to do things and watching
oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Like
I get you.
so it's been super cool. Like I just created this like what I think is like a really dope like cinematic. Um
Oh,
yeah, this cinematic whatever that'll kind of like take the rug out from under um
mm,
their legs because they'll be expecting one thing and they'll get something completely different.
mm,
Uh so I'm very excited about that. And I kind of like just beefed up or I didn't yeah, beefed them up. Basically there's like this villain character in the starter set and I'm like I like the idea of you but I don't like the um what's the word I'm looking for? The like how it's done, whatever.
I get you saying the
You
execution.
know, I like the execution, yeah. So I'm like,
Yeah,
all right, I'm gonna introduce you a little bit earlier, give you a really super like kind of scary and like dope opening that's like, yo, this guy means business. And then I'm also gonna change up your sets a little bit so you're actually like a threat
yeah, I
for
get you.
by the time they get to you, whatever. And I was like, wow, man, I feel like this feels super like rewarding. Like
Mm,
doing this stuff that like will probably be like, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks. It depends on when my brother-in-law comes Shows up again
from his travels.
from work.
Yeah. Okay, so we've done movies. Well, no, we've done superhero movies. We haven't really done movies. Maybe we'll get back to that on the end. We've done superhero movies. We've done TV shows. We've done
Video
anime,
game.
video
Anime.
games, YouTubers. I guess there's one album that I really liked this year that came out. A lot of disappointing albums this year, but I don't want to bring everyone down. But there was one album that I really liked, which was the new Ninja Sex Party album, The Cool Patrol. I got it for Christmas. It's very, very fun, very, very enjoyable. I very much recommend the Release the Kraken. That was my favorite song. It's just such a silly song. The idea of the Kraken being this really shy, big, giant monster.
Kyle, Little Light of Mine is my one album
Oh, okay.
recommendation.
Nice. Yeah, there was good music, but I can't think of like a specific album that I can point to other than Cool Patrol that was like, oh, this was a good
Yeah.
one.
Oh, Thank You Next was a bop, but
I haven't really listened to it, but I feel that it is a bop.
it is a
I'm
bop.
not a big Ariana Grande fan, but it's not because I don't like her music. I just haven't heard
Burn
enough of her
in hell.
music. Okay.
Just kidding. I like Ari as much as the next person.
I will have to listen to her music because I genuinely just don't know what it really sounds like,
I just listen to Thank You Next. That's all you need.
All right. Okay.
Well,
Cool.
I forget. There's this one other song that I like, but I can't remember it right now. I
Is
remember
it
the music.
God is a Woman?
God is a Woman is a good one. That's also another good one. Darn it. But there's this one from like her last album that had like a really dope music video about the end of the world, but I can't remember it.
Oh, okay.
One Last Time. There we go.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
I thought you were just like proclaiming one last time.
No, no, that's the name of it. So, I think a nice way to end this episode, if that's the direction we're.
Yeah. I was just waiting for the.
I was gonna say, just like some, not even resolutions, because there's a super negative connotation by people who are like super cool about resolutions. I think people who make fun of people having goals are like the worst.
Oh, you mean there's like people who don't like people making resolutions?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That makes me upset.
No, it's like a big joke that people make fun of people who make resolutions, and I'm like, cool, you're super cool, but like either hopes you're not cool. I'm sorry. Either like hopes of things that maybe you want to get back into, or things that you want to do more, something that maybe you had meant to do this year that you want to do next year, or maybe there's a movie or something or a video game that's coming out next year that you're excited to experience.
That's interesting.
Kingdom Hearts. Sorry, I just
you just Tourette's it out. Then you were just like, oh, Kingdom Hearts.
That just reminds me. Quick aside.
Okay.
Because your wedding, when we were sitting at the table, it was like me and Jack Thomas were talking about like an anime.
Yes.
And good old Morrissey was right next to us. And they're just like, so what about Kingdom Hearts? And I just turned, oh yeah, man, I'm not quite sure like how it's gonna be. Just completely
change the subject.
Yeah. Either way, but yeah, I'm excited about Kingdom Hearts 3, which is coming out this month.
I'm glad you're excited. I'm glad that people are getting Kingdom Hearts 3 finally. I've never been a Kingdom Hearts person, but I am happy that those people are getting it. In terms of resolutions, my friends and I, we all have this big chat where we just chat to each other and talk about like upcoming parties and just kind of keep in touch, because a lot of us, are busy with work, and some of my friends live in England, so you don't get to see them a lot until they come home. And we all decided to like share our resolutions this year to kind of, keep each other, motivated and check in with each other. And we've come up with little like little nicknames, for our resolutions, like little like easy ways to say it. So mine this year is get fit and make shit. And basically what that means is I have two goals. I have lots of different little things I want to do this year, but the two like main overarching things is to exercise more, eat healthier, just kind of generally be a bit of a healthier person, sleep more, he says, while staying up at 2 a.m. Just kind of get fit in not just the fitness way, but just in a healthier way. Just get healthier is a big one. And then make shit refers to, I want to make more things. I want to make a film this year, because I made a film in 2017. I didn't make one in 2018, and that bummed me out. I did make a lot of sketches, which was good, but I didn't make an actual film. So I want to make a film. I want to make more Wi-Fi Friends videos, because I slack on those a lot, because obviously there's
You're
mistakes.
talking to number one slacker.
We slack each other.
Yeah.
So I want to make more Wi-Fi Friends videos. I want to make more things in general. I want to write more. I want to maybe... I know I keep threatening this, and we keep threatening this, but I maybe want to start writing a comic together again, whether it be one of our old ones, we dig it up, or if we start something new, I don't know. But I just want to make things, because I feel like creatively last year I was a little bit slacking, and it definitely, I don't know if this is with you, but it affects my mental health. Not to a point where I don't struggle with anything as serious as people actually do struggle with it. So I don't want to imply that I'm taking away from that. But I do find that my mental state improves when I'm being more creative. And when I leave that and I don't use those tools a lot, it kind of leaves me in this kind of regretful state where I just feel like I'm a bit useless. So I want to be making more things with more people, and with people that I enjoy making things with. So that's kind of my resolutions. And in terms of things I'm more excited for, I think that I am kind of okay for now. There's not a lot of things coming out that I'm like, ooh, I want to see this, because a lot of things I'm satisfied with. Obviously, I'm excited for the new Avengers movie, but I don't think there's anyone who isn't excited for the new Avengers movie, if you get what I'm saying. But we're not getting Wonder Woman next year, which bums me out. We're not getting another Doctor Who episode next year, which bums me out. That's coming out in 2020 now. So, I think I'm just putting all of my hopes on episode 9, really.
Yeah.
And that's not until December, but I'm really just piling all my hopes on episode 9, because I didn't hate episode 8. A lot of people have a lot of problems with that movie that is silly and sexist and strange. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Episode 8 just wasn't for me, but I like that a lot of people enjoyed it. Just episode 9, I hope, is this kind of big event that we can all enjoy. All the Star Wars fans can come together and put our differences aside.
Yeah.
And just kind of enjoy the end of the legacy, So I'm hoping for a good episode 9. And also I'm hoping for... Disney Plus, I think it's called, to be interesting. I hope that's going to be good.
The streaming service.
Yeah, I think that's coming out this year, and it's going to have The Mandalorian, which is a new Star Wars TV show, and it's also going to have the lots of different Marvel shows as well, which would be fun. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping. Oh, also, I think it's January 11th on Netflix. The Titans is finally coming out, so I finally get to see my favorite comic book characters of all time finally in the flesh on the big screen. I haven't looked up any reviews, so it could be trash, it could be amazing, I don't know, but I will get back to you, because John, you know how much I love the Teen Titans.
Yeah, I'm very curious, since I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah,
because I'm not paying.
Yeah, I'm not paying either. And I wanted so bad to be the person to make the TV show. So hopefully it's good enough to make me not angry at that anymore. So what are some of your resolutions, goals, themes of the year of 2019?
So one is to get personally better with money.
Ooh, that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, just to keep, because my wife is very good about keeping track of things, and she has her notebooks and her budgets. And I really want to just help out more with that.
Yeah.
And just get better at that aspect. Being more creative is a big one. Yeah. I felt like I slacked a lot on writing this year. I've gotten tired of this cycle of starting,
not finishing things,
starting and not finishing and stopping and then feeling bad about it and then just keep on feeling bad about it instead of doing anything about it. So I want to finish a project this year.
I get you. Yeah.
At least one. writing project. And I want to do more videos and stuff like that. But like a meaty writing project, and I don't just mean like one issue of a comic book.
Yeah.
Like a script for one issue of a comic book, but like a novel or a something that is like substantial.
Yeah. Or like a script.
Yeah. Um, just be healthier, trying to either if that is working out or maybe just getting back into doing yoga, which I really enjoyed.
Ooh, yeah, I like yoga.
Yoga's nice. Just more self-care, like mental and physical, like self-care, taking care of my body, mind. I think that's about it for resolutions. Kingdom Hearts 3 is something I'm looking forward to, if not out of morbid curiosity. It's like just that friend that you haven't heard from in forever who just randomly texts you and you're like, let's see what this is about.
I hope this guy still has it together.
Yeah, exactly. I want
I
to
hope he's
play...
not scarred after being on the DS for so long.
Oh, God. I want to do more D&D stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Because I got this itch. And it's also has actually kind of helped me with writing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Especially fight scenes. Because fight scenes have always been a problem for me, but now I figured out a way to, if I mentally do it as if I'm running a D&D encounter, I'm like, oh, okay, let's just say that this character is attacking this character, dice roll. Oh, they miss. Okay, how would I describe that to the player? And then it's like, oh, I could just use this same formula for how I would describe a fight scene in a book.
Ooh,
I'm just like, oh, he goes and he slashes, but he, dodges it at the last second, and then because really, like, rounds in D&D are only meant to be like 20 seconds each,
Yeah.
of in real time. So it is all happening back to back to back. So I'm like, oh man, like this is a great way for me to visualize fight scenes because that's always been a problem for me.
I get you. Yeah, it's a good idea actually. I never thought about it like that. The guy who runs my D&D campaign, the Dungeon Master, he is actually an English student in university, and like he says that ever since he started D&D, it's really helped him with his degree because it's like it is essentially like creative writing, and it's like really interesting that helps so much. And it's good because there's always the fear that D&D will replace the itch. That you'll play D&D and you won't want to write anymore. But I find that it's kind of the other way around, where it makes you want to write things. It makes you want to actually get out there.
The great thing about, like, from the perspective that I've been playing it, at least as like a DM, I'm not really getting that catharsis, whatever, of having my character story playing out.
Yeah, I get you.
So it's like I still have that need to tell a personal story.
Yeah.
About a character that I care about instead of telling a personal story, whatever, but for other people's creations. Like I create the world and I create NPCs and stuff, and that's fun. But like I'm not having a cathartic moment through the main characters of the story, the protagonists of the story.
That makes total sense. Dope. Well, okay. Well, I'll say this then to end. I will say that in 2019, as far as you and I are concerned, I think we should communicate even more. I know we do communicate pretty a lot, but there's just like slumps where obviously life gets to it, and I forget to send you a message. And
we'll just randomly be like, hey, have you heard about this thing?
Yeah, and I think I want to be a bit more communicative with you because I think that'll lead to more. Because I think our friendship is fine. Like we have the type of friendship where we could not speak for a year and then it would be completely fine. But just in terms of like, because I really like creating with you and I really like making stuff with you and I want to do that more. And I think we have these like bouts where we make like 6 videos like in the course of like 2 weeks and then it's like nothing. It's like, so I think I want to be challenging each other more to kind of like outdo each other like we were kind of mid 2018. I think that was really fun. I don't know about you, but it kind of like motivated me to make a lot of cool stuff. And you made a lot of stuff that I thought was really interesting that I don't know would have existed without this kind of concept, you know? Like, I love your I still love your conspiracy theory, your conspiracy theory video when you're lining up all the dots and you're like trying to figure something out. And also your Green Lantern video is really good as well. But like, I think what I might do is I'm going to go through and see what, because we've actually, it sounds so weird to say, but our anniversary is actually the end of January.
Oh, wow.
And the end of January will be the 2-year anniversary uploading the first ever podcast.
So is this the weird 0 episode?
Yes, the 0 episode that was like strange.
Lord. Yeah.
And like didn't get another follow-up for ages and ages. But what I might do is I might see if I can like get a best of video out and be like the best of 2018, you know, the best of Wi-Fi Friends in 2018, and just cut together a bunch of clips. It won't be long because we didn't do a lot of videos, but like just kind of like reminding us of how.
At least.
Sorry?
I was gonna say I would like to at least on record.
Okay, on the record. I'm
on the record. No, this is the record, the podcast. Unless you edit it out.
I forgot we're recording this.
Maybe you can edit it out. At least one video.
Oh.
Bi-weekly.
Ooh, I like that. But it
doesn't have to be one of these. I mean, individually.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be. There's no quality.
Yeah, it could just a video we upload.
Cool. I like that
because once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, because it could be really good and it could be really elaborate, but it also, if we're like, you know, if there's a lot of stuff going on in our lives, we could just upload, you know, one take review of something and we don't have to worry about it as long as we're producing content.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, are we starting it this week?
So today's the 1st.
Yes.
So we upload this one. So let's say 2 weeks from today.
There has to be a video by you and a video by me by the 16th.
Yeah, by the
January.
16th. Yeah.
All right, I'm down for that.
There's
I
no
like that.
Punishment or anything, but
no. Well, there will be a punishment. I'll come to America.
Yeah.
The punishment is I don't get to go to Disneyland with you. No, one day I will find a way to come to Disneyland with you.
I think we go to Disneyland Tokyo.
Oh,
Tokyo.
We do both. We do Japan and Disney in one trip.
Time.
All right,
so 2 weeks, and this is, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna say it because you know what? It's New Year's, and you're supposed to do dumb things like this.
New Year, new me.
By the end of each month,
okay,
I will either email you or text you or whatever an updated word count of how much I've done that month.
Ooh. All right, I will match that because I feel like it's not fair for me to not match you there. I will email you a draft of something I'm working on, whether it be a script or a shot list or even a video like actual footage, you know, or something at the end of each month. And so it's just to be like, hey John, this is what I'm working on.
Yeah.
You don't even have to tell me what you think of it. You can, that would be really nice. And but like, just to show you and you to show me that we're actually doing stuff and keeping on each other's backs. I like that. I like that. This is going to be good, John. I'm glad I stayed up till 2 a.m. for this.
Yeah. Okay, so January 16th, new videos by that time. So we could do it before that time, obviously.
Yeah, I could
but that
do
is
it tomorrow.
the cutoff. I could do it tonight. No, so that's the cutoff date. And then January 31st. How many days are in January?
I'll check now. The 31st is when January
31st, ends. We need to have a email or a shared Google Docs link or whatever to something that we've been working on creatively.
I like that.
Writing wise, I'd say probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be like a writing for a script for a movie or even just an idea outline of just like, hey, this is an idea that I'm working on.
Just something. It has to just be new. It has to have been written that month.
Yeah.
All right, dude. I think this is really productive. Thank you to anyone, if anyone is still listening. I hope that you took on the ideas. Comment below your own New Year's resolutions. And if no one's listening, then hello, John, listening to this in the future. Or John's grown-up daughter who is wondering what her father thought of
She's going through my extensive library of videos, wondering when's the point that I die. Like,
it was when you forced yourself to email me every month.
Yeah, when I forced myself to write.
Ah, yes, this is when father started drinking. Oh god, no, I'm joking. I wish you the best 2019, John, and thank you so much for a very fun year of creative video making, and I hope next year is even more fun and even more creative. And I wish your whole family a happy new year as well.
You as well. I hope that the Welsh economy rises from...
Oh,
Is there something bad going on? I don't know. That just came to me.
well, we are in Britain, and so we are affected gravely by Brexit. So.
Oh yeah, that's still I get so
That's
wrapped
still
up in our
raging
own
away.
shit that
No, I get it, dude.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
we've all got a lot of stuff going on.
I was watching the news. I don't know why I'm bringing this up now, but I was watching the actual live news, the BBC news earlier, and they said they were talking about this new right-wing leader who's just been elected to Brazil, and it was like he came out of nowhere. He's like says a lot of homophobic things, and all of a sudden he's elected to the leader of the country. There's literally no precedent for this ever before, and I was just in my head being like, really, no trend you can think of that's happening right now. I don't know, man. I'm sad, but let's not think about the state of the world. Let's think about the state of our scripts and how good they're going to be for the end of 2019.
I've got a good sending off. The first send off of the new year.
Yes, do it, friend. Do it.
Clear eyes, full hearts. Our eyes on the horizon.
Ooh,
We look onto that bounding sea.
wow.
The waves crashing against the ship we call destiny. Our flags raised in the air. We're not up by our side. Onwards to the grand line. Insane.
I'm not 100% convinced you didn't just read that from a One Piece comic.
I actually did it. You can tell because I said eyes and eyes twice in a row. I used two eye illusions in a row.
That's true.
Yeah. I was like, darn it, I just said eyes, but my next one is about eyes. Whatever.
All right, then.
I was going to just sing that same song. I was like, Aikidero uemo sumimatare. I feel like I butchered that, but you know.
You know what? I think that's a perfect way to stumble into 2019.
You know, we don't go into the new year with our heads held high. We go into it bruised and battered after falling down 2 flights of stairs.
100%. And what better way than to jump in ass first? I've been Cameron Morris. We've never done outros like this before. You've been Jon Sick, and I'm saying goodbye now.